Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with, I believe, the 70th episode of Cultist Simulator the Dancer DLC. So, we were able to get our new guys as the Dove. We'll be using that for the sending in the Evening Isles. Now, we haven't taken advantage of this inside of this particular playthrough, and I don't think I will, but if I ever wanted to get the location for the sending, I do actually have the option of talking with Sulachana. And essentially, so far as I can tell, the sendings are always in the last repeatable location for the area that you're in. So let's say the Shires. If you talk to Sulachana for a location in the Shire, so I think that would be the Furtive Truth, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. This would give you the repeatable location in the end. I think that's the Unnumbered Stones. But basically, the way I sort of see it is I kind of like going through the different expeditions, and I like finding the new things. Like, if I find new books, that gives me a chance to read some more material, and we learn a little bit more about the world. And I'm probably not the example that anybody would hold up as someone who knows a lot about the world of Cultist Simulator, but what I do like is being able to return to, ideas, see them repeated, and to be able to either remind myself of things that I'd forgotten or possibly learn new things. I mean, again, it sort of depends on the context, but to me, that's one thing that I actually find very enjoyable about this game, and it's a principle that, at least as far as any kind of tutorial-like material that I've done, I sort of feel like this is something that I generally try to I try to encourage with anybody who, wants advice about how to play the game. I think it's something that you can do to try and make the game a little more worthwhile, is to maybe just not assume that because you've read something once before or because you read something frequently that there isn't more to pull out. I think there's a lot going on in this game. I think there's a lot of connections that maybe you'll only draw after a few things sink in, and sometimes you're just going to be paying attention to different things, or you're going to be paying attention to something that maybe hadn't been as clear at the moment. There's a couple of other things. So, for instance, one thing that I'm noticing right now, I think I've just gotten unlucky when it comes to pigments, but for instance, we haven't been able to do the edge or the knock painting. Sorry, if you could just give me a second. Excuse me. But we also have a few things. So, for instance, if we take a look, so we've got the Furious Sliver, we've got the Chalice Murmurous, and I think the Division Bell might be one as well. Yeah, so these are very high power, items. Sorry. Actually, the Kingskin Boran is also, so I'm trying to keep the sneezing to a minimum, but so, we've encountered these. I'm wondering if there's I guess the Watchman's Glass is the equivalent, but this one doesn't get a unique. I guess it's because you want the possibility of having more than one for going through the Peacock's door. Actually, yeah, we're pretty much, I think the only one that isn't to 12 is the Valius, the Forge one, now that I think of it. Anyways, neither here nor there. What did I want to focus on? I'm sorry, I've completely lost track of what I wanted to be focusing on for the game today. I did want to talk, whenever it comes out, in terms of just being able to read and repeat. So okay, let me go back from the very beginning of the video, what I was talking about. I do like being able to read the individual books, even if it's not directly related to achieving the goal of the transformation. I do like to be able to read the lore because, again, one of the things I like about doing the videos as well as playing the game is to be able to read the entries inside of the game, and to be able to read the books is kind of one of the highlights. There's more information that you get from other locations, But I feel like the lore is probably where the real value of these broadcasts are. And again, just to reiterate, like, I do also think if you want a better understanding of the game, excuse me, it doesn't hurt to be reviewing the material, even if you sort of feel like you have a good grasp on it, or maybe you feel like you've read that line a million times over and you don't want to do it again. There's no rule saying that you have to, but generally those are going to be the times that you miss out on the important details. But that point wasn't essential for figuring out what my next moves were. So maybe I should just accept that I have sunk 5 minutes into something that... Oh, yeah. Sorry, I think we were talking about the guys. So anyways, so number one, I want to be able to read some more books. And then number two, we're close enough now. Like, we will be going through the door a few times. Or the Peacock's door a few times. We've got the Frangiclave, so it's not like we're giving up too much to be able to try and find these extra locations in the Evening Isles. I have the option, I suppose, if it comes down to it, to try and to push a little bit further. But I think we should be fine in terms of just getting the Vagabonds map at a reasonably good rate. Now, as far as immediate concerns that I have, we're performing at the Gaiety, so in 26 seconds, hopefully we'll be able to apply the Restlessness. If we don't, then we'll paint it away. I believe we were just finishing another Port Noon anecdote, so this was from using the library. We've got another Season of Suspicion coming up, but we shouldn't have to... I'm hoping at the least we don't need to worry about that. If it does turn out that... if it does turn out that the evidence is created, we are in danger of generating a damning evidence, but the flip side to that is just we send a Skin Twister to take it out, or the Callaghan, depending on the time. And yeah, I mean, I guess that, if I could do this video all over again, I just fall back on the simplest statement. Clearly, we just keep going through the Evening Isles until I can do the sending. So, my apologies for the slow start. Oh, well, here we go. Converting clues to evidence. I'm certain that my adversary has lodged a copy of their notes elsewhere, with their solicitor, with their superior, or even with a contact in the press. This is troubling. Now, I had to break up the recording of the entries, so I may have to realign all the different placements. But we'll see. I mean, I'll give it. I'll deal with it when it comes up. Okay. I think I was still going through the Red Church, if I recall correctly. When I visited the Red Church last night, they told me, between their clawings and their caresses, that the flower maker had visited but lately with his nectar and his promise. I woke twinned in sodden sheets, with the amaranthine nectar brimming in my hand. I captured what I could of it, only a few drops, but it will be enough. One of the flower maker's many gifts, in a brighter age, it might have bestowed immortality, but in this blighted history, it is still an unparalleled sweetness. So we've got a few of those already, but... Oh, this is interesting. It may actually restore... It may restore to its old locations now. If it does, that actually saves me a lot of trouble, so... Alright, tonight I sense an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention if I cease to hold back. If I commit myself more fully, tonight they'll notice that. I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards I received a gift from an admirer, too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. So as always, there's the question about what we do with the work verb. In this case, I think just continuing to do commissions is the right call here. I'm not going to use the Vagabonds maps because we may have other uses for those, but put to reason to it and we'll write an extensive treatise on the secret histories. I've increased my knowledge of the secret histories behind the one we know. So there is my Port Noon anecdote. Port Noon is where the long go to enjoy the sea and the sun, to drink from the spring that makes them forgotten and stay out of trouble, mostly out of trouble. The stories you hear at the Hotel Ciervo are golden dude quintuple distilled toasts to memory served straight up. Alright. Now there's a couple things that I can do with Secret Histories to help, like, so I can move my Forgotten Chronicles up into Forbidden Epics and so on and so forth. But I do have some books that I want to read and translate, so we're going to set that aside for now, just especially because we already have the unique Port Noon anecdote. I want to deal with that before I go any further. So let's start by reading the Book of the White Cat, which I'd meant to do earlier. Stories brought to Penelope of Gordian by a blind white cat. The aviform owls, the crow, the laughing thrush, the dove, and the twin kites have been known to meet in the mountains north of the Gordian, at a place called the Roost, to exchange gossip. Penelope indicates that mortals who hear their words directly are obliterated, but claims that her cat goes unnoticed and returns to her with rumors of the owls' meetings. And optimism is the spice which saves. So that saved us from the potential evidence. We don't really have any other reputation to worry about right now, so I'm a little out of sorts as far as what to do with the talk verb. We do have some commissions to turn in, but I'm going to hold off on those. One, the benefit from the Glimmering in the Air edition might be a little bit better when I don't have these works to translate. But two, we do have the Season of Suspicion running by. And if we can go by without generating any reputation, we may be able to avoid the consequences of the expedition. And what that will mean is, I forgot to add money to this. I should have done that earlier. What that'll mean is that we just have a little bit more runway before we need to worry about the evidence or before we need to destroy the damning evidence. The monk's delusion. Faith is a double-edged weapon. These monks have a great talent in the matter of believing, and so they have believed our lies. Sorry, I feel quite a bit more scattered than I was in the previous video, so we'll try and get back on track for the remaining two-thirds. Alright, the expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I could add funds now, or I could send another follower. Now again, we're getting a little short on money, so it wouldn't hurt for me to put some extra effort in terms of generating cash. Another thing that I can do, if I'm okay generating notoriety, would be to send some followers out on burglary missions. But I don't think we're quite at that point where... I don't think I need to worry that much about finances right now. I have a few other things that I can do in the meantime that should help me out with cash. One thing is just simply not to hand in more commissions, just do more trips at the Gaiety and do more painting. So this is why I'm not freaking out too much about it, but I guess the way I would put it would be a couple more Evening Isles expeditions and we're below 10 in terms of funds, which is not exactly a position we've been in for most of this playthrough. Okay, back to the Red Church, and we have a favor from the party. Each of the stained glass windows of the Red Church is devoted to a distinct appetite, and the scenes that they show are from life. Last night, in one of the uglier windows, I saw the appetites of a certain public figure satisfied in private. I know he won't want that information made public. Perhaps he'll show me some consideration. So we'll just stick that in the corner there. Alright, once again we go through the Peacock Door. And call upon the watchman who navigates. Our senses are sharpened. We should find this hidden door. And if we add another lantern follower, call upon the watchman who illuminates, we'll almost certainly find this hidden door. So as long as we get past the curse, we should be good for our next phase. I finished the manuscript. So back to the Gaiety. The stories that Penelope claims are as our gossip are fragmentary and confusing. Accounts of contests where hope and dread and the Shadowless Empire are used as game pieces, agendas of ruin and remembrance from no known history. The most interesting element is the protective incantation she records at the end of the book, after she worries that the Hours might in fact learn of her spying. So there is the Velvet Charm, which is an upgrade for us for our heart lore. The Velvet always answers no, but we can shelter that no. The Velvet always answers no, but we can shelter in that no like beasts in the crook of a tree. Alright, let's do some translations. I think we're in a fairly decent shape so far as our moods are concerned, so now would not be a bad time for me to get some Winter and Knock reading done. So let's start with the Book of the Extinguished Heart, which is Mandiac text. Or Deep Mandiac. Faint lines in stone, a surface that yields to pressure. We found it. The hidden door moves, and with a grating shudder and a shower of dust. And Season of Vision's coming up, so I want to be careful about that. I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me, and they found no new clues. So, somewhat by design. We will send a follower out to get rid of the notoriety that generates from the expedition, although I'll probably use the Callagine and the Percussagant first. So I'm going to go to the Worm Museum next. I saw the Red Church again last night, with its pews of bone, the stained glass, and shades of ruby. I saw the Red Church again last night, with its pews of bone, the stained glass and shades of ruby, the golden altar that beats like a heart. That night the names of the Grail gathered to speak of those long who'd sworn off the pleasures of the bedchamber, save between a man and man or a woman and woman. They still pay the tribute of delight, an ivory said. They do not bear fruit, a lovely said. If Forge and Sun had only joined, a thirstily lamented. And then they fell to gossiping of the long of the House of Leith, and their deeds in the desert. I remember it still. So, we've got more than enough to be able to upgrade to a Port Noon anecdote, but until we actually start using this or until we use the Port Noon anecdote, there's no point in trying to upgrade that. We can only have one on the table at a time. Okay, the light, the dark. The moth finds light in the dark, and so do I. So that's not a bad indicator for me to consider trying to upgrade the Forgotten Chronicle, seeing as we can skip the erudition for something low level like that with the bookshop. But again, we have plenty of things we want to do with the study verb right now, moving a Forgotten Chronicle up to an epic, and then an unresolved ambiguity, etc., etc. These aren't the sort of thing I want to be spending a lot of time on. I would much prefer to be working on Vagabond's maps than working on lower level secret histories. So the question before me right now is, do I want to do the Moth Commission, or do I want another round at the Gaiety? We don't have any restlessness to get rid of. Let's go back to the Gaiety, actually. Well, actually, no, hang on, sorry. We'll do the Moth Commission. That just clears it clears the queue, and then I can worry about making money. This may be useful for a commission. So here we'll see how the Fifth Eye Curse, how we handle the Fifth Eye Curse. Prepared the text for study. So let's just see what's coming up. We've got a Season of Vision, so I'd avoid Origins of the Hours, but I think the winter text should be fine. Well, I mean, it'll potentially generate dread, but I think that's something we can handle. The Book of the Extinguished Heart. In the days of the Shadowless Kings, Ennis Lazali was executed for prophesying the division of the sun. If any of his captors grew long, they probably feel rather abashed now. Lazali indicates the sun will be divided in the Mallory by the Forge of Days, armed with the love in her heart. Alright, we have enough. We carry enough heart aspect. We carry enough heart aspect to quell the curse, probably. So this is only 8. Sorry, I thought we had added a heart follower, so we'll add Dorothy really quickly. We call upon the Ringyu who is renewed. We are strong enough in heart to be almost entirely secure against this curse. And what could I be if I could be not this and the same self? I'm no further along my path of change. In the movements of the secret forms, I must find my lesson. So with luck... Oh no, not with luck. I need to figure out what to do with the restlessness. So I may do painting, even though it's mostly going to be passion, or probably exclusively passion. I do want to get rid of the restlessness, especially if there's the risk that we're going to be generating dread off of the off of the study. Speaking of dread, I dreamt last night of the Worm Museum. The hours have set wards about it and warnings before it, but they have left it open to mortal adepts who can prove themselves by reaching it. Perhaps they hope to inspire revulsion against the things that bred in the corpse the sun. Those things are still here still, always dying, never dead. They came from nowhere, the warnings say, and if they complete their work, the Mantis will be nowhere one day. Alright, so one thing that would be good would be to get a contentment to be able to deal with this. So we have the potential for 3 dread on the table right now, which is one of the things we want to avoid. However, it's pretty straightforward to get around the dread in this case. So again, one thing I do want to do is maybe try and preserve some vitality, but that's not that hard for me to do. So here we go. Finish the manuscript. So what I'm gonna do to try and get a bit of an edge in terms of dealing with my sickness. I may still have some trouble dodging the illness. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to paint the vitality. Now, it's not really an expectation that I'm going to be. Sorry, like the worry. Sorry, not the worry, but the plan here is not so much to... Well, no, wait, I can't do that because then I can't paint away the restlessness. I need to think before I talk. So yeah, we'll use our skill Never Know. We don't have any reputation, so in this case it's going to be a pure passion painting. That does run the risk of generating a fascination, but we're just getting past a season of vision, so we'll have a fleeting reminiscence to tranquilize it at the minimum. And in this case we will paint the restlessness, so a mood piece. This should have an impact. And the hope here is that, well, there's one of two things that happens. If we get a fascination, so be it. We add that to the dread and they cancel each other out. The alternative is we get a contentment, which we can use to get rid of the dread. So, love will not be the cause of the sun's death, but rather envy. Envy will not be the cause of the sun's death, but rather thirst. Thirst shall not be the cause of his death, but curiosity. Curiosity shall not be his end, rather it will be love. So dread, I believe this is our last rite, the rite intercalate. This rite recapitulates the sun's abominable fate. It is used in extreme times by foolish adepts. We've got the divisions of the names, so this is another higher level winter, or another higher level lore, and in this case winter, so it's moving the floor up, or ceiling up. When the sun in splendor was divided, its names fractured too. Here are the shards of their names, which once were whole. And there's another dread on the table. So as we sort of anticipated, we had the potential for 3 dread on the table. We will be able to get... I suspect we'll be able to get rid of 1 right away. The rest is sort of an open question. And of course, I do have the option, if I feel threatened, I can get rid of at least 1 of these dread by bringing someone into the cult. This is kind of the nice thing about keeping that talk verb open. Now for painting, if I wanted some reputation, I could have turned in the commissions. The reason I didn't do that here is, I mean, it's not so much about preserving the... this is actually good that I clicked on this because I didn't realize we'd turned over. So it's less about trying to get rid of the reputation that's going to come from the expedition, but more about leaving the talk verb open for, it's nice to have the talk verb open to try and deal with the reputation if it comes up. But what I'm actually doing here, sorry, I'm stumbling over my words again like I did at the start. I probably should have calmed down a bit before I started the broadcast, so I apologize. I realize this isn't as strong of an episode as some of the other ones. In this case, I had the gaiety, so I've left the talk verb open. If I need to turn in a commission very quickly, I can do that. I think it's about 15 seconds to turn all of these things in at once. The drawback is that we were just at the edge of where we needed to be for the Gaiety, so in that case, even 15 seconds would have been something that caused me trouble there. So given the fact that I don't really need the reputation right now, and I potentially can get rid of the notoriety that'll come from this expedition, in this case it makes sense not to turn them in. The other nice side effect of this is that in this situation, it's more likely that I'm going to want to get rid of some dread, and so I also have the option preserved with the talk verb here. But that's not usually preserving the option is not a strong enough reason to not take an action in this game. There's just simply there's too many things that can happen to you, and there's plenty of things that you're going to want to get done. That if you play too defensively in the game, then it's just not. It's really just you're not going to get anything done. So anyways, a lot of words to explain actually a fairly simple concept. I apologize. Let's start some more translations. A manual for departure. The author, who identifies itself as Jekadu, claims to be one of the great hooded princes of the land of the river. So here we will translate. Lock the study door, the work begins. Oh, no, we will not pay for paints. Alright, so the curse clings. Dormant fifth eye curse. The fifth eye curse has not yet taken effect, so I'll probably want to stop by the white door to get heart influence, I think. And the world as it is. Mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm saying if that means anything. No fascination drives your visions. It's over for now. If nothing else, going to the white door might get me some some heart influence, which will be helpful for dealing with the sickness. All that I am is here. 5 seconds. This is something special. It may provoke a reaction. My recent work has drawn some attention. Something should sell. Alright, so there's the contentment if I want to get rid of the dread. How's my staleness? No, we're doing okay. I have a little extra mystique, which isn't as desirable, but we knew that was a danger going in. Alright, so to the Gaiety. The stage awaits hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. So what I'm going to try and do is keep some heart influence on the table. I'm pretty sure it's heart influence that I need for the curse. Size in the mantis is negotiable, and so last night in the Worm Museum I saw one of the worms who took Vienna, a cage next to a worm taken from the soul of a child. In my dreams they are more visible than waking, smooth and dark as jewels. The walls bear stories of the first and second worm wars. The third is too recent to have passed into the histories. So another Vagabond's map for us, and I don't want to go too crazy. I think what we'll do is we'll clear out at least one of the dread. So I remember that I was different before. Trying to think, does it make sense for me to try... Yeah, I think I will send Clovette out on discussing occult business. Not everyone is sympathetic to our aims, but if we have problems with our reputation, our disciple can probably smooth them over. So, it's a bit touch and go with this curse, but I think I might be able to angle things in our favor. We'll see. I prepared the text for study. Alright. I'm trying to think if I should read this now, or if we should just translate the rest of the works. I think we can afford to read it. Manual for departure. No, these doors shouldn't be recorded, but if we had only recorded things before we'd had to leave the fifth history, we should be in a much better state. So, here I am writing it down, and if you don't like it, you can sanction me. My God. That triggered a lot sooner than I was expecting it to. This illness has damaged my health. I'll need to rest before I'm fully recovered. Alright. I need to find some ways of getting some heart influence as soon as possible. Alright, we have here we are in the cave of the deep sea pool beneath the monastery. Dark water shivers in the light of our lamps. As we approach, the level of the water suddenly drops. There are no tides in the sea. What's happening? Alright, so we've got some text. I'm actually just going to grab the texts here and we can read the titles and the descriptions later. Got the Watchman's Glass. Thank you, everybody. So one thing that might work out here... So I could let my percussivant decay into... Yeah, so I could potentially let the percussivant decay into a hard influence. And then I could use vitality to... but even then, I'm going to need another minute to get the vitality. Well, unless we get lucky with some of the other events. We'll see. It's something of a long shot, but tonight I sense an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention if I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. Tonight they'll notice that. I was just thinking if there was a way in 12 seconds for me to... Well, no, because this would still get picked up. I was just thinking, is there any way that I can extend the time that the passion's taken up? I felt other eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer, too gaudy for my tastes, but I could sell it on the second-hand market. All right. Let's think about our next few moves. So, I could paint. What does painting get me that dancing won't? Might be good for money. I can... Well, I don't have any heart influence to put... No, yeah, let's just do the... Let's just go back to the gaiety for now. The stage awaits hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. So, I think we're going to leave it there. Again, I apologize for sort of the scattered nature of the broadcast. Tomorrow's should be better. But this is a rocky one for us. There's not a lot that we could have done differently, so it was more scattered in my commentary than in terms of my gameplay, but I was kind of banking on a little bit more time on the Fifth Eye Curse. I think what I'll have to do here with clearing my mind, I'm going to take just a Hail Mary on the white door. It's probably going to be too late. It may not even be enough hard influence for that matter. But at this point, that's probably my best chance in terms of some easy hard influence. But yeah, we will see how the curse goes, and then we will continue our adventures in the Evening Isles. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.